my instruction system that I used to bang 143 new girls last year. Now you can use it to get a girl within 5 minutes or less. All right, so I'm going to show you a little bit later how I pulled in less than 5 minutes. It's actually not that uncommon when you're doing it the correct way. So this is what the presentation is all about. Basically, to give you the hacks and shortcuts to success. You don't have to try all these things for yourself and fail miserably. Okay. I want to stress that the reason that no one is sleeping with this many girls a year from cold approach is because they're not using an optimized method. All right. Most of what I've seen from guys in the community and from students I've had in the past is completely way off in many directions in most cases. All right. I can count the number of guys that I think are close to my level on one hand. And, there's not many really good guys at this. You all know that, I'm sure. And it's actually not as hard as you'd think to get really good at it really fast. All right. So what I'm going to hammer home today is basically guys are doing this shit wrong. It's not that you need to do 1,000 more nights out. It's not that you need to do 1,000 more approaches. That kind of stuff can actually be detrimental because you're probably hammering home all these incorrect methods and incorrect mindsets. So you're reinforcing bad behavior. The way you get really good at this is by learning the correct method. All right, you're also going to see this being executed in field footage and a pull happening in less than 5 minutes. I'm going to break the whole thing down. So this picture here demonstrates the state of the pickup community right now. I've taught a lot of students, and I hear the same thing every time. They don't know how to pull. They don't know what they should be saying in set. They don't know how to properly escalate. They don't know how to answer objections when they're pulling. They don't know how to run a date, and it just goes on and on and on. All right, so basically the core game areas, guys are pretty much fucking clueless. All right, and most guys that I've taught or met have been with about 5 to 20 girls on average. All right, so a lot of you guys can relate to this. It seems like the magic number for guys in the community is around like 10 chicks. And usually the girls that they're getting aren't from any degree of skill. They just happen to run into a drunk six that lost her friends from spam approaching 6 nights a week. All right, so that's not how you want to actually be going about this. And lots of these guys that are at this level have been studying a whole great deal of quote-unquote pickup knowledge. All right, lots of them for many months or years. I'm sure you guys can relate to this. They've watched pickup videos. They've read the ebooks. They read RST Nation and forum posts. Discuss game with lots of other pickup guys, and in some cases have even spent money on products or boot camps. All right, so basically, what the fuck is going on? Right, this is why I started my company a few years ago, because most of the community is getting lackluster results, but ironically, people are putting in time and effort, and in some cases, money. All right, so the answer is simple. Guys don't understand the core game areas that lead to results. They're wasting time with superfluous and in lots of cases incorrect information, and just treading water and stagnating. Okay. Or worse yet, they're decreasing in skill level due to cluttering their head with a lot of pointless garbage and advice that is vague and confusing and just plain wrong. I'm going to actually, not to single out RSD, but I know a lot of you are RSD people, and I used to be as well. I'm going to single out some popular RSD concepts and why they're wrong. I'm going to explain to you why they're wrong. My system basically dispenses with all the bullshit, and as you'll see, focuses purely on optimized methods to get super consistent results. Okay, so it's going to be a big eye-opener for a lot of you guys. So my goal during this presentation is a couple of things. I assume some of you guys are already dating girls, but you want to be able to attract hotter women. Maybe a few of you are already in relationships. Maybe some of you aren't dating at all, or you're even virgins, and it's not a big deal. I didn't even lose my virginity until college. Like, not even just fucking saying that. I didn't even kiss a girl until college. Now I've been with almost 500 chicks. All right. So my goal of this presentation is that regardless of the level that you're at, because it doesn't matter right now, I'm going to give you the tools and skill sets to get any girl attracted to you. Okay. But I'm not just going to give you like random elements. I'm going to give you the exact 3-step system that I use personally to meet a hot girl and take her home very, very quickly. Most of my pulls, guys, are less than 20 to 30 minutes. I even have a bunch that are less than 5 minutes. And you may think that sounds ridiculous. I'm going to actually show it happening in an infield breakdown. Okay, so that's coming up in a little bit. And as strange as it may seem right now, you're going to be able to do all this without hitting the gym all the time and dressing nice, without fancy or gimmicky lines, without worrying about state or warming up. Now, I'm not one of those people that claims the looks don't matter or that this shit doesn't help. I think you should fucking be hitting the gym. I think you should not have a shitty haircut. You should not have shitty clothes. If you're fat, that's a huge problem, et cetera, et cetera. Like, we're not all on an equal playing field. We're not all cut from the same cloth. I'm 6'4". That's a fucking advantage. I can monopolize tall girls that are wearing heels. But you can't change your fucking height. So, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but basically you should be trying to optimize whatever you have to work with. That means having a cool life, having cool friends, having cool hobbies, hitting the gym, dressing decently. Doesn't mean you need to wear a fucking blazer, but I don't do that shit. But all right. Now another problem that guys have is they get nervous and they act awkward because they feel they're not good enough. I'm gonna go over all that shit. All right. So basically, I'm gonna show you how to drop rejection to a bare minimum too. Anyone that says they're not getting rejected is lying. Just like people that say they never get flaked on dates, they're lying. This is part of the whole fucking thing. But I'm gonna show you how to minimize this stuff. Okay. So you might be thinking, why do I need this? Basically, if you want to sleep with 9s and 10s regularly, if you want to get that perfect girlfriend or you have a special girl that you want to attract, some of you don't want to just rack the numbers. I wasn't really in this to rack numbers either, and I'm still not really. It's just kind of a byproduct of being good at game. But in order, you've heard this before. In order to attract that perfect girl, you can't just one day be like, all right, I'm gonna fucking lock down a 9. If you're not used to getting 9s on a consistent basis, that's not how it works. Once you can get 9s consistently, then you can pick one and make her your girlfriend if that's what you want. So you need to get good with girls in general. I'm sure you guys heard that shit before. Okay, so if you stay to the end, I'm going to show you this infield breakdown. This is probably choppy as fuck. This is just a sample of some of the footage that was taken during that year when I had the camera crew following me around. I know it's choppy as fuck probably. So like I said, I have like over a year of footage on tape, like 100 pulls on tape. So you're going to see one of these happen later on. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to analyze the whole thing for you. All right. So why should you listen to me? Like I said before, I'm known by a lot of people. This is debatable. It's fucking subjective. But a lot of people regard me as the best guy in this shit. Like Owen actually wanted to hire me, or Tyler, for those of you that don't realize his name is Owen, wanted to hire me in 2012 when I was at about close to 150 lays, and he told me that I was the best guy he'd seen in field. And my shit's gotten a hell of a lot better in the last few years since then. They wanted to pay me a shitty wage and be trained by Owen, so I respectfully declined. I've slept with 458 girls so far. Just got out of a relationship, so hopefully going to break 500 soon. Founder of the Efficient Pickup Method and the company Efficient Pickup. Like I said, I used to work for RSD. I used to teach programs with Todd and with Jeffy, mostly on the East Coast, New York, DC, Philadelphia, like around those areas. But I ended up quitting their company and moving to Vegas, where I started a pickup mansion and all this other shit. RSD has hot seat, but I have a fuckload more footage. We basically just filmed everything for a whole year, going out 5 nights a week. And I pull almost every night out. So I have just a shitload of footage here. So, a lot of guys are claiming to be really good, but I'm actually able to back all this shit up in the footage. And again, a lot of the good guys come from this fucking terrible place. In high school, I was in math league, playing the violin, day trading stocks. I sat with the 2 smartest kids in school at lunch. We would debate philosophy and science. No joke, when I made out with a girl for the first time in college, was actually trembling. But I think really what has allowed me to master this shit is I still have this nerdy kid deep down that is able to master skill games really well. Like I used to play professional poker. I used to be like a chess master, all that kind of shit. A lot of StarCraft. All these games basically that were skill games. Pickup's just another skill game. I really want you to think of pickup like that. It's really just a skill game. A lot of you guys are probably smart. Most of the guys in the community are smart. They're just fucking doing it wrong. Okay? But I think being able to hyperanalyze everything is what allowed me to optimize a lot of this shit. I ended up doing double master's degree. I used to work on nuclear missiles and all this other stupid shit right before I made this my career. But I came from I was probably the nerdiest kid in my high school, and now I have guys in my high school that were the most popular kids in school asking me for advice and shit like that. So you guys are probably, and I know everybody fucking says this in the community, like the instructors and stuff, that they used to be giant chodes and all that shit, but in lots of cases it was true. Okay, so you guys probably are less chody than I was. So as you can see in this picture, this shit can be pretty powerful. Here we have a faithful bachelorette about to get married in a couple days, making out me in public. So you're going to see this shit's pretty powerful. I made a rule for myself sometime in the past year or two about no more fucking boyfriends and husbands. Fucking girls with boyfriends and husbands. That sounded terrible. No more boyfriends for me. Uh, just because I had one guy like threaten my life. So I mean, it's your personal choice if you want to fuck with that kind of shit. That's neither here nor there. But you will have the power to rip chicks off their dudes like with pretty high success. So I want you guys to get rid of the magic bullet mentality. There's no magic bullet. There's no system that works 100% of the time. But I would strongly argue that this is the best system and the only structured, repeatable system that you can start using in your own life today that's going to work a high probability of the time. So it's all about probabilities. I'll explain how I came to my method shortly. But what I've done over the years is just found any weak spots and then optimize the probability of getting different shit to work. Like I just look at it as like one big fucking sales funnel. It's like, how do I optimally pull each set I talk to? How do I optimally like get each girl that I don't pull to meet up for a date? How do I optimally close each date? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my whole game is everything's just been optimized. So I get the highest probabilities at every step of the way. So that gives me tons of pulls, tons of closes, tons of dates, and tons of closes from dates. And I get leads from night game, day game, and online game. So let's see. There's basically methodical action-based steps. All right, so it's very like my shit's very, very, very practical. All right, so a lot of you guys use to RSD. When I used to teach their boot camps, the kids would come on program. They'd be like, "Be clear in outcome, be free from intent," or what is it? Free from outcome, clear in intent, all that shit. And the guys are like, "Okay." And what the fuck does that even mean in most cases when you're in the set? Not very much. So and then the guys are just saying, basically just having a free for all on the set and get destroyed. And they're like, okay, after 1,000 more sets, I'm going to wake up advanced. That's not how it works. I usually have almost every student I teach pulling on night one because I'm like, here's how you fucking pull. And he's like, oh, I didn't even realize it was that easy. I'm like, yep, now you can do this the rest of your life. So I always made my shit very practical. So everything I'm going to show you today is like very, very, very tangible. It's not a bunch of abstract theory that's going to confuse you. And I also don't believe that there's a hybrid of all these methods. That I think this is by far the most optimized. So guys that I've trained to teach my programs, we all teach the same style, which is the style that gets you laid the most by hot girls. And I'll show you how this works in a second. And this also can work during the daytime, streets, malls, whatever. It doesn't matter what kind of fucking guy you are. It'll work. Unless you look like shit. We all know there's some people that are completely fucked, so hopefully that's not you. All right. Over the last 10 years I've been doing this. I've done a lot of things wrong, but I've also done a lot of things right. And it's my goal for you guys to just show you the right things so you can cut out all the wrong things and just focus on the right things. All right, so this will help you avoid rejection or making a woman feel awkward or uncomfortable or having to go blow out the entire fucking venue. Obviously, as a result of just doing the right things, you'll manage to get close to my level really, really quickly and not have to waste a whole shitload of time. All right. So the hard way that I want you guys to avoid, that virtually every guy that got good with women had to go through, is going out tons of nights, going through tons of rejections, learning lots of incorrect or superfluous information. Basically, the difference for me is I had access to a lot of these top guys. All right. And then I was able to optimize it for years after it was originally created. So I was part of this forum like 3 years ago called Top Beasts, and there was all these criteria for the people they recruited into that forum, but it was supposed to be like the best pickup artists from around the world. And ironically, a lot of us like turned out to know each other in person, and the ones that we didn't know, we met, and so we all became like pretty close friends. But I took that opportunity to read all of their posts because they had RSD handles too. So I read all their posts, their post histories on RSD Nation, scheduled one-on-one meetups with these guys, Skype sessions with these guys. I basically extracted all the information I could from these 30 guys, and that's how I formed my method, was finding out all the overlap. We just went through in like painstaking detail. Here's what I'm doing on my successful sets that I pull. What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And, it was pretty fucking fascinating because most of us lined up, like 90% of what we were doing lined up, right? So I was able to cut out a lot of the shit from the community that's wrong or that's superfluous and just focus on all the shit that was getting good results. So that was 2012, and then from that point, I've just optimized it. So basically, the way I've approached it, like one of my majors was philosophy in undergraduate. I've approached it like kind of like a philosophy problem or like a scientific method thing. So any area that was weak, like this guy I know can pull better than me, or this guy I know can text better than me, or this guy I know is closing more dates, or this guy I know is getting more numbers to reply. Whatever part of that whole system, if someone was better than me at it or they had a better way to look at it, I would, spend time with them and then adapt my method accordingly. So at this point, it's like completely rock solid across the entire board. I'm still always willing to change it as I should be, but right now I can't find any way to do any of these things I'm doing better. So that's why it's so powerful. So it's kind of like an evolutionary thing that started from a foundation of lots of guys basically just kicking ass and finding overlap. One really quick story. I met a guy in Vegas. He was like, dude, I see you pull like every fucking night, like really hot girls. He's like, how are you doing this? I was like, it's actually not as hard as you would think. And I was like, what's your deal? He was like, oh, I'm in the immersion program and I'm going out 6 or 7 nights a week. I was like, when's the last time you got laid? And he was like, about 8 months ago. And this dude was better looking than me, and he could carry on a conversation totally fine. And I was like, okay, you're not gonna wake up in a year and all of a sudden be advanced. Like, you're fucking plain and simple doing it wrong, and you're probably reinforcing a shitload of bad behavior. And he's like, well, a lot of things have been clicking over the months, but I'm like, dude, you're not getting laid. That's the whole goal. I don't know what the fuck you think is improving, but your results aren't improving. So he's basically wasting his time. And guys get in these mistaken mindsets. I see it all the time. They think that you just need to go out 1,000 more nights or do 1,000 more approaches, and everything's just going to suddenly come together. But that guy's going to be, in the same spot a year. I never checked back in with him, but the pattern I see is he's going to still fucking blow, year after year after year, and just waste a shitload of time, just because he simply doesn't know how to game correctly. So I want you to be able to skip and jump past all that time and all that bullshit, and get to an elite level of seduction really fast. Okay. And of course, like I said, most guys that go out night after night aren't going to see many improvements, sometimes for years at a time, right, or ever, right? People usually continue to suck. So, let's see. Yeah, like I said, I started hyperanalyzing what successful guys were doing. See if I can get this stupid animation to play. And, picking out all the most relevant things and then putting that together to form like a streamlined, repeatable method. Ta-da. I don't know how choppy that was. Let's see. I already talked about this. Hyperanalyzing what the fucking guys in the Top Beast forum are doing, and also filming myself to watch myself in set. So the system that exists today is very refined and methodical and repeatable. Okay. So one more reminder, I'm going to show you the footage towards the end. For those of you that have just joined, I'm going to break down a whole infield pull. But today, basically, you get the chance to cheat and get the easy way. All right. So this is the point where you should start taking notes if you haven't been already. Without this, you're going to have to go through thousands of interactions to find anything close to this. All right. So if you want to get good with women, try to focus really hard for the next 20 minutes or so, because this is going to probably change your life. Okay. So here's like a really high-level flowchart of my simple 3-step method that I used last year to sleep with 143 different chicks. So as you can see, it's very methodical and easy, which allows you to use it in a very consistent, repeatable way. So all the optimization built into it over the years is what makes it so effective. Now this is the structure. I'm going to give you concrete examples of all this stuff in just a minute. Keep in mind that the method's simple, but you need to see it in action to see how it's done. So it starts off with the opener, which lots of guys make into way too big of a deal. You don't have to say fancy or gimmicky shit. Some guys, say the old school game stuff. Who lies more, that guys or girls? Do you believe in spells? All this stupid shit. Basically, the problem with that kind of stuff is it's fancy. The girls see right through it. It weirds them out. I see, local PUA guys all the time talking about or opening with stuff like, oh, why are you staring at your socks? Or I bet I could beat you in a pillow fight. Get all that shit out of your head. I get so many students come on program that are saying retarded shit. Just stick to, hi, I'm so-and-so, or I always say, can I meet you? Hey, I want to meet you. What's your name? Yeah, you're going to fuck yourself up if you're saying retarded shit. And also, let's see. Yeah, strong eye contact, squaring up, being loud enough talking in commanding tone. A lot of that's IRC stuff, so you guys probably already know that shit. And also initiate some physicality right off the bat to initiate the man-to-woman frame. I'm sure you guys are familiar with as well. So this might sound scary to some of you guys, but it's really easy, and girls will respond super well to it. So if you follow these 4 pillars here, basically your odds of rejection go way down and you'll make a good first impression. And I'm going to give you a trick in a little bit to figure out which girls are receptive to being opened and therefore avoid rejection completely or almost completely. All right, so I usually say, can I meet you real quick, or hi, my name's John, blah, blah, blah. And contrary to what a lot of guys think, it actually doesn't matter what you say it as your opener. I'm going to show you in the clip later. I say something totally ridiculous when I open. But if you're doing this other shit, it doesn't fucking matter. All right. So step 2 starts off with finding out information about the girl's situation to assess the probability of her coming home with you. So a high probability situation would be a girl all by herself that lost her friends. Low probability situation, a girl who's there with their boyfriend. And you can still get those girls, but it's just the probability goes way down. So there's plenty of other hot girls, so don't waste your time on low probability situations in general. All right, so focus on a girl who has a high chance of being taken home. All right, so some examples of logistics questions. You'd ask her who she's there with, how does she know the people in her group, what is she doing later, and these types of things, okay? I have time during this talk to explain what you would do with that information in every situation. Now, basically, these types of questions help to direct the rest of the interaction to take the girl home. All right, so one example is if the girl you're talking to has a best friend or a sister in the group. In this situation, you basically need to win over the friend in order to take that girl home. But you wouldn't have known this without asking that logistical question. All right, so you're going to be escalating physically as well so that she doesn't put you in the friend zone, or so this is not a platonic interaction. And you can do that by wrapping your arm around her waist, or holding her hand on a handshake and continuing to hold it afterwards, whatever. But it's important to have that physicality right up front. And if she reacts negatively, of course, you just calibrate, take a step back. Hey, what's up? I just want to meet you. And then this other part that's really important. You're going to be playing the idea of taking her home. Okay, this is what is called seeding the pole, for those of you that don't know. It sets the frame the 2 of you will be hanging out later on at your place. All right, I'm going to go over more details about that. But you want to be doing this shit in the first minute of the interaction. You don't want to just be talking and spinning your wheels for a long time and then being like, oh, so what are you doing after this? After party? Blah, blah. Like, I'm usually going into this shit right after I introduce myself. Okay, step 3, which is closing. When you see the poll, it's going to cause her to surface objections. So an example of seeing the poll would be to tell a girl that she should come over later to have drinks. And then an example of an objection would be her saying she can't come because she has to be up at 8 for work. You're going to get this a lot on weekdays because girls fucking work on the weekdays. So the way I answer that is I say, oh, it's cool, I have to be up at 7. So I always have to be up an hour earlier than her. So I'll be like, that's no excuse. Just come for a little bit and have one drink or whatever. Keep in mind, objections come out because a girl wants to make sure she's safe. She doesn't want to look like a slut for leaving her friends, and she also wants to feel comfortable and for things not to be awkward. So objections are to be expected in almost every interaction. It's very rare that you're going to be like, hey, want to come over to my place? And she's like, yeah, let's go. Okay, that will happen, but it's not common. So just be aware that you're going to get objections, usually just like 2 or 3. But the same shit every time. All right, and I have optimal ways of answering each one at this point. So she's going to give you some fucking subset. I can't leave my friends is by far the most common, so you're going to want to master that one. But just treat them as something that's normal and natural. All right. The problem is most guys have no idea how to handle the objections. So over all these years of learning seduction, I figured out the most common objections and the best ways of dealing with them. So like I said before, the most common objections is she can't leave her friends, she has to be up early, she can't travel very far. She might wonder how she's going to get home after leaving with you, or she'll say things to test you, like how do I know you're not a murderer, or other stupid shit. Like, I'm a lesbian, I made a pact to my friends, I can't leave. There's only going to be so fucking many. Like, it's very rare that you'll get one that isn't in this group here. There's like 14 or 15 that I've listed out that are the most common. So you're going to hear these same ones night after night. All right, you need to know how to deal with them. A lot of good pickup is directly applicable to sales. All right, like Jordan Belfort from Wolf of Wall Street knows when he cold calls some fucking retard that they're going to give a certain number of objections, and he's developed ways to answer those objections so that the people buy the stock. And then he trains a team of guys so they can all fucking do it too. That's how I train my students on programs. It's like, I know when I try to have sex with a girl, I'm going to go through this whole fucking procedure, and I know exactly how it's going to go, and I know what to do. Okay, so the reason why you guys aren't getting laid a lot, if you're not, I'm not sure if any of you are, but if you're not, it's probably because you have no fucking clue how to answer objections. You're probably not seating the poll to begin with. A lot of you probably aren't going in physical. A lot of you probably aren't asking logistics questions. You're probably trying to bring the party and build social hubs and other fucking retarded shit. All right. So basically, if you can answer all the objections, then the girl will come home with you. If you can't answer them or her logistics are too hard, then you get her phone number and you frame it for a really solid date. And that's a whole other discussion. But I set it up so that most of my numbers turn into solid dates. And then there's a whole sequence for how to optimally set up a date, including all the texts. Like I have this giant flowchart that I've made with these other advanced guys, and it goes from your first text all the way to the meetup, and it has all the control paths. Like what if she flakes? What if she stops replying? What if she replies minimally or doesn't answer your question or whatever the fuck? I have a whole flowchart on what to do in every situation that I follow pretty regularly. I'm gonna show you guys that in a little bit. All right. So here's some concrete examples of all this shit in action, so you can see how easy it is. So if you thought this was hard or confusing, you'll soon see that it's definitely not. So as an example of what I call the green light path. All right. So this describes a path where the girl is receptive on the opener. The logistics are such that there's a high probability of her coming home with you, and she has little or no objections. All right. So this is the path that you'll be on in interactions where you can take the girl home in like a matter of a few minutes. Like I don't know how much experience you guys have, but I'm sure some of us have met girls that have lost their friends, and they usually don't have as many objections because there's no cock blocks. And if it's outside of a venue, you have even less to deal with. You don't even need to get her outside the venue. If you meet like a one set on the street, it's usually game over. All right. So in this case, let's say she's there with her coworkers and they're on the dance floor. All right. Maybe you meet her by the bar and her coworkers on the dance floor. Or no, okay, so you'd open with, can I meet you real quick? And you'd approach the girl, strong eye contact, squaring up, arm around her back, speaking loudly enough. All right, so then you ask the logistics question, who are you there with? Assume in this case she's there with her coworkers on the dance floor. Okay, then you'd maintain physicality to stay out of the friend zone and communicate romantic interest. All right. You then plant the idea that she's coming home with you by saying, we're going to have drinks at my place. I live nearby. You should come. Now she maybe gives you the common objection that she can't leave her friends, and you're like, oh, it's cool, we'll text them the address, right? So usually at that point she would leave with you, right? It's pretty simple. And I didn't really get into this too much, but there's a different strategy for pulling in the first half of the night than the second half of the night. You're not going to say after party in the first half of the night because it doesn't make any sense. She just got there or she hasn't been there very long. And for those of you that think you can't pull in the first half of the night, I've pulled in the first half of the night at least as much as the second half of the night, or maybe even more. Like it seems like they're even a little bit more likely to go in the first half because they know they can come back and shit. So, and a lot of times you can pull your first set. That happens all the time too. So you should get rid of the mindset that you have to warm up for the first half of the night, or the first half of the night doesn't count, or that you need to wait till the end of the night to pull. All those are mistaken mindsets. There's lots of nights that I pull twice in the night because I realized how to pull in the first half of the night. All right, so in this situation, most other interactions, will have some other extra easy parts to solve before she leaves with you, but it's pretty fucking straightforward. All right, so I'm going to go through 3 of my biggest secrets, which also happen to be the ones that help my students the most. So secret number 1, how to sleep with over 100 girls per year without approaching a lot. How to get to the level where you get 2 or 3 new hot girls a week without years of work, usually within a couple weeks. How to take a girl home or pull in less than 5 minutes. And again, you're going to see the hidden camera breakdown for that. All right, so number 1, how to sleep with over 100 girls per year without approaching a lot. There's a picture of me with this girl I closed at Hakkasan in Vegas. I don't know who's been to Vegas yet, but yeah, I don't know. I don't even really like Vegas that much for game. Actually, it's harder for game than most people think. Okay, so as you can see here in the diagram, the method is very straightforward and efficient. What I teach is a one-shot, one-kill style, which basically means you can have a high probability that every woman you talk to, either taking her home that night or meeting her for a date at another time. All right, so this is illustrated by the last part of the diagram. You're either going to pull every set you talk to, or you're going to set up a really solid date. All right, you should never just grab a number and leave. Like, there's a way to frame it to set the date, which I'll talk about in a little bit. All right, now sleeping with 100 girls per year probably sounds impossible to you guys. It's actually not very hard. When I first got into like talking to girls or whatever, like out. I didn't even know about game until I was like 27. I just turned 32. But in my like low to mid 20s, when I was just going out and talking to chicks, I set 100 as like a lifetime goal. It's because of the whole triple digits thing. I thought it was impossible, and now on bad years I still do over 100. So it's actually pretty easy. Like if you do some math, 100 girls a year comes out to 8 or 9 new girls per month. And the system that I'm teaching here is optimized so you can take new girls home almost any night you go out. All right, and the girls that you meet that have bad logistics, like they have to be up super early. Like some girls have to be up like super early, like 6 or something, or they're the DD for their friends, designated driver, or their sister's visiting from out of town and they can't abandon the sister or whatever the fuck it is. You have the opportunity to close them later by going on dates. So even if you go out like 2 or 3 nights a week, because a lot of us are busy, whatever, you're gonna have lots of opportunities to take girls home to do pulls and also to set up lots of dates. All right, so even just 2 or 3 nights out a week, you can get a couple lays in that week, right? Between all the, maybe you pull a couple times and close one of the pulls, and then maybe you have like 4 or 5 dates and you close 1 or 2 of the dates. And 2 lays a week comes out to over 100 a year. There's 52 weeks in a year, so it's 104 a year, right? So it's actually not as hard as people think. The problem is most guys have no fucking clue what steps to take to get girls to go home with them or to pull, or to set up solid follow-on dates, or how to, run the date or all that shit. These are all big problems. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are spending a shitload of time, quote unquote, learning pickup. All right, but I could explain all of game across all areas to you in less than 5 hours, and all of night game in less than 2 hours, and there would literally be nothing else to say about it. Like that's how basic a lot of this shit is. I'm not like patronizing you guys by saying it's basic, like it's so easy, blah blah blah. But the reason, my company's been around for a few years, the reason we didn't put out daily content like RSD is because there isn't anything fucking more to say. If I explained all of night game to you, it would take 2 hours, and there wouldn't be anything more to say. Like I'm not even joking. So all these daily videos that you watch are probably fucking you up because you're like, okay, let me try to apply what I learned in today's video. I know guys that watch RSD videos 365 days a year, and they suck. Most people suck in the community. A lot of that shit's just fucking cluttering your head, and guys don't know how to prioritize what out of this information is correct, which most of it usually isn't, and what is like relevant to getting good results. So do what you want, but this shit. I'm trying to give you like a window into how easy it is to pull and close dates. Like, think about this. If most of my students that come on are guys that have been studying RSD for years, how come they don't know how to pull? Like, there's no threads like, here's how you pull. There's no threads like, here's how you answer all the objections on RSD Nation, for instance. There's no threads that are like, here's how you can close like 90% of your dates. I mean, there are, but I've read those and they're not usually very correct. So like, you just need to know how to pull, how to answer objections, how to deal with obstacles, how to text, how to run dates, how to set up solid dates, how to build a rotation, how to manage rotation, how to adapt your game to hired guns, how to adapt your game to day game, how to build a really solid online game profile to get leads there. These are the fucking key areas that matter. I'm going to show you a bunch of this stuff during this talk, but those are the only areas you should be mastering. You shouldn't, most of this shit in the community, like over 99%, is completely ridiculous. It's completely irrelevant, and it's wrong in a lot of cases, and it's just like circle jerk type shit that everyone's talking about in the group chats and that kind of shit, but it's not really relevant at all. All right. And wouldn't it be great if you could do this without approaching a lot? All right. So like lots of nights I'll take home the first set that I talk to, or the second set. It happens all the time because I don't believe in state or warm ups. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. I basically walk in the venue, approach the first hot girl I see, and by using the 3-step method, I'm able to determine her logistical situation, seed the pull by playing the idea that she's coming home with me. I diffuse her objections within 20 minutes of having first approached her. We're on the way back to my place. All right, it's pretty awesome. Like you literally do not even need to blow out the venue. Like you can just point out a girl, and the odds are going to be pretty high that I'll be able to take her home because it's the same shit every fucking time. So I'm not having to go around and talk to tons of girls or do tons of approaches. Like I know tons of guys that will like talk to every girl in the whole club, right? And then they switch venues and do it again, and they do this night after night after night. and they're not really getting laid. Like I said, though, you're gonna run into that drunk six that lost your friends. You don't deserve a pat on the back for that. That was luck, not skill. All right, so by learning the correct method, you're gonna get women to respond positively, minimize rejection, and just have a fucking awesome life and awesome rotation, that kind of shit. All right, so going into some mistaken RSD concepts. First of all, don't ever say anything fancy or gimmicky again. And, that's just like a blanket statement. Don't tell girls, I think I can beat you in a pillow fight. Don't say, wow, you're absolutely adorable. Don't say, you guys know what I'm talking about. Pick up type shit. Don't do that. A hot girl does not reply. I've dated lots of hot girls. They all universally hate that shit. They all universally see right through it. And it comes from the wrong frames too. Just don't do it. Just be a normal fucking dude. Like, people that watch me in field, I've been with almost 500 chicks now. People that watch me in field say, like, everything's like super on point, but it doesn't look like I'm doing game. Like, it doesn't look like I'm doing pickup. That's how it should be. Like, remember, game is to like emulate like a fucking rock star natural. He's not, doing a lot of little gamey, shitty things. So, really solid game looks really natural. So if you're saying fancy gimmicky shit, don't do it ever again. It's going to decrease your chances, cause more rejections. That should be good news for you too. Like, you don't have to be someone you're not to attract beautiful girls. You just basically have to follow my high level system. Now moving on to the ideas of state and warm-up interactions. Other pickup schools, most notably RSD, talk about the idea of state as the level of skill you think that you're currently operating at. And they think that it changes based on how the night is going, right? You can have state crashes and all this other stupid shit. They also claim that you should do some warm-up or practice interactions at the beginning of the night to build up your state and start functioning at a capable level. Some companies even go so far to say, like I talked about before, that the first half of the night doesn't count. That is so ridiculous. All this stuff is so ridiculous to me. Like I said, I pull in the first half of the night as much as I do in the second half of the night, and you just have to adjust the way you talk about the pull. And basically with warm-up and state ideas, the best mindset that you can have at all times, whether you're at a fucking club or not, is that you're an awesome dude that's operating at 100 out of 100, okay? You, in your mind, you need to do a shift right now, and for the rest of your life, you're operating at 100 out of 100, okay? Not a 60 out of 100, not an 80 out of 100. You're operating at 100 out of 100, okay? So if I'm walking to a club and I'm operating at 100 out of 100 in my head, do I need to warm up? Fuck no, I'm going to pull my first set. When you walk into a club, the only thing that should be going through your head is everyone here is in danger of getting fucked. Like, I'm going to, pull someone. Like, who is it going to be, right? Because you're operating at 100 out of 100. You're the shit. Even if you're out during the day. Oh, look, there's a hot girl. Do I need to warm up? No. Do I need to think I'm out of state? No. Why? Because I think I'm awesome. So my state's at, or whatever you want to call it, my potential is at 100 out of 100. That's your only frame. That's the only inner game I teach. Think you're the shit and believe it. And I do agree with the fake it till you make it. Maybe you're deluding yourself at first. Maybe you've been with 0 girls or 1 girl, 2 girls or whatever. But here's an example. I had an Indian virgin on my program. That's the Curry Indian, not the Native American Indian. And he's like, dude, girls respond positively to you because you fucked hundreds of girls, and they don't respond positively to me because I've been with 0. And I was like, look at me. Is there a fucking number on my forehead? Is there a number on your forehead? I was like, if I walked around like a little bitch, acting like a pussy, like you are, like you're acting. He was actually a cool dude. Like, I thought he was cool. The girls are going to respond negatively to me. If he walks around acting like how I was carrying myself, they're going to respond positively to him. And yes, I have an advantage probably being 6'4" and being white because a lot of girls don't like Indian dudes. But he can't change that shit. I know plenty of Indian guys that clean up, right? So he started making out with girls, and he actually pulled that night. And we had this joke on program that he was like the coolest virgin at the club. So you need to get out of the mind. A lot of times you're your own worst enemy, okay? If you think you need to warm up and you think that some rejection is going to cause a state crash, a rejection to me, and you can't see this, but I'm doing a rejection in quotes, is a blip. It's like it didn't happen, right? Because everyone's going to get rejections every time they fucking go out. And I don't take it as any reflection upon me as a person whatsoever. There's nights where I get blown out most of the night. I don't fucking care, right? And even as a test, I've had other advanced guys that I've been out with go in on sets that blow me out or vice versa, and the chick usually blows them out too, or blows me out after they blow out him. So what I've come to realize, it's all fucking part of the game. There's some chicks that just don't want to fucking talk to dudes that night, that think they're too good for you, that are there with their boyfriend, that are in a fucking shitty mood, or they just think you're fucking ugly, or you came in weak or whatever. Who gives a shit what the reason is? Don't take it personally. I like girls to give me that reaction because I know I can move on immediately, right? If some chick's a huge bitch to me and I'm like, oh, ha, 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 I just wanted to meet you. What's your name? And she's like, no, fuck you, right? I'm not going to be like, okay, I'm going to stand here and keep trying. It's like, okay, I'm not banging that girl tonight. Good thing I didn't waste any more time, right? So don't treat rejections as a state crash. Don't have a night of blowouts all night make you feel like shit, right? That you're all of a sudden that lowered your value in your mind. That's retarded. Think that you're at 100 out of 100 potential. That means you don't need to warm up. And I understand some people are fucking, stressed from work and all that shit, and they want to like adjust to the fun mood and all that shit. That doesn't mean you're at less than 100 out of 100. Just go in and fucking do your shit and still think you're awesome. And that just requires like a little more calibration. She might be like, oh, why are you, acting so down or whatever. You're like, oh, I had a fucking shitty day at work. Ha ha ha. You just calibrate to that. And if she doesn't like your low energy or whatever the fuck you bring in your first set or two, who gives a shit? All right, so get rid of the ideas of state and warming up, and don't let that shit move at all. It's always 100 out of 100 for the rest of your life. All right, that's the way you optimize the confidence you're putting out, what you're portraying to these girls in your sub-communications, all that shit. All right, if I go, a lot of the girls that I pulled my first set of the night, if I would have went in, oh, I'm at a 40 out of 100 because I just got to the club and now I need to warm up. What's going to happen? I'm going to go in like a bitch and be like, well, this doesn't count. Oh, hey there. And she's going to be like, fuck you, right? And that's a girl you could have banged if you didn't think that you were a chode needing to warm up, all right? So enough about that. To recap, secret number 1 of how to sleep with over 100 girls per year, about approaching a lot. The key is to execute the 3-step method without saying fancy lines, without trying to get into state. You take girls home when their objections can be beaten, and you set up solid dates with the rest of the girls that you talk to where you can't beat their objections. Keep in mind, you can take home the first, second girl the night that you talk to, and again, this will lead to 8 or 9 new girls per month, which leads to over 100 a year. All right, and like I said, when I got into this, I set 100 as a lifetime goal, and I never would have dreamed of sleeping this many year after year. But once you learn how to pull it, and once you learn how to set up solid dates and close them, it just becomes a machine. All right. Okay. Secret number 2. This was also from Vegas. I had some of these girls during spring break. How to get to a level where you get 2 to 3 new hot girls a week without years of work. So usually within a couple weeks. So I'm firmly against the idea of having to do 1,000 approaches, 1,000 nights out, as I've stated many times. I believe I can transform a guy literally in one day. I know that sounds ridiculous to a lot of you guys, but as soon as I teach guys how to pull, and as soon as I teach them how to run their dates, all of a sudden they're at an advanced level. Most people that I've taught in the past have gone from newbie to advanced or intermediate to advanced. The only guys I've had trouble bringing to advanced are the hard cases. So I don't know how many of you guys on here are hard cases. So that doesn't mean you're hopeless, but you probably have trouble interacting with guys too. You probably have some confidence problems. You probably have some, prevailing awkwardness that no matter how well you understand pickup or methodology, you need to get that shit in order. So for those of you that are in that spot, I recommend just practicing being more outgoing and confident in general. Fucking hit the gym, do martial arts, do shit that'll fucking knock your confidence up and your opinion of yourself up, okay? But you don't need to do this crusade of multiple years to get advanced. I don't think it works like that at all. Okay. So over these years that I've been doing seduction, I've come up with the optimized shortcuts and systems for each and every area. All right, so I can basically give you all these hacks on a silver platter, and you can get really, really good, really, really fast. All right, so you won't have to go out for years hoping for average results and doing all kinds of frustration and confusion. So, like I said, I try to make my game as practical as possible and as methodical as possible. So, for example, I have canned scripts for what to say to take the girl home. Like I'm literally reciting. I know we all know the canned routines are bad, but believe it or not, with the 100, I don't close on my pulls, obviously. I've probably pulled like 600 or 700 times. I don't even know. It's I don't count pulls, I just count the closes. But I'm saying the same script each fucking time. And that's what I teach in my programs. This is what the other advanced friends I know, they copy my script. I like adjusted it over time, but at this point, if it's the first half of the night, I say a certain canned set of shit. If it's the second half of the night, I say a different certain canned set of shit. It surfaces her objections. It's usually like 99% of the time, it's going to be one of those ones on my 15 objections list. And I know the optimal ways. I've changed this over time too, but I now have an optimized way of answering the objections. So, like I said, canned scripts for pulling, and then optimize canned answers to their most common objections. And then I have key adjustments I make for daytime game, and very effective ways of getting a girl to meet up on dates, and very effective ways of closing the dates. All right, so it's all very, very, very methodical and repeatable. It's basically just like a giant system. All right, so there's not a lot of this like abstract ideas about pickup that you guys have mostly heard before, because those aren't translatable into practical things. Like, most people need to know how to text. Like, what text do you send? Like, what do you say when you're pulling? How do you answer this objection? Those are all like specific, exact, tangible things. All right, so that's how everything I've built this is based around. Now, I don't have time to go into all those details, but just a quick example. When I go for a kiss close or a makeout, I usually pull the girl in close, and I'll say the can line. I'll be like, "Oh, what color are your eyes?" Right? Now, keep in mind our faces are like a foot or half a foot away from each other, and since our faces are close, if she's open to being kissed, it's very obvious, right? Like, you can judge it from the traditional anime eyes or doggy dinner bowl look or whatever the fuck you want to call it, but you can just basically see she just looks receptive to it going down, right? And you have like a smirk on your face. You're just oozing confidence, right? If she does not appear open to it, or says she's like, "Oh, you can't kiss me yet," you're like, "Don't worry, I just want to see your eyes," right? So you like didn't really give up much ground. So I do that every time I want to kiss. When I get a bad reaction on my opener, I do another certain thing. When I want to pull, I say a certain thing every fucking time. When I hear objections, I say the same thing every time. My text sequence is the same. My online game message sequence is the same every fucking time. I run my dates. Keep in mind, like, your banter in the set and your vibe, all that shit, and on the date, that's going to be variable every time, right? I'm just free flowing, saying what comes to mind, no filter. I agree with that with RST, but all the rest of it is fucking scripted and canned. I'm not saying a lot of canned shit, but there's like key things I do when I want to kiss, or want to do certain key things in game when I want to pull, and those have been what I've found to be the optimized thing. All right. Blah blah blah. We already talked about this kind of shit. Okay, so here's a cool picture. This is a student I had last month that was short and Asian with a thick accent. I thought he was hopeless since he was not tall and white. I told him those things don't really matter much, and told him about past students that were shorter than him with thicker accents, much uglier than him, that still got good results from my training. All right. Sure enough, after I explained everything to him, he brought home 4 different girls in my program, set up a bunch more dates as well. He even had a threesome with 2 chicks from Japan. It kind of sucks because one of them wanted to hook up with me, but I had a live-in girlfriend at the time. So basically, this was a guy, like, he ran a company and shit. He had every other area of his life under control except for dating, and he was able to change it in the course of a weekend. This is like really, really common. Now he has a rotation of 3 chicks that he sees regularly, but prior to the training, he couldn't even get a date. All right. So I have a running joke that guys usually pull more times on my program than the nights out to the club. Like, if it's 3 nights, like, a lot of times the student will pull more than 3 times. You can pull multiple times a night too. Okay, so number 3, how to take her home or pull in less than 5 minutes. Let me open this fucking video. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to show you through hidden camera footage, and it's probably going to be really choppy because GoToWebinar sucks, how it's actually possible to take your girl home in less than 5 minutes. I'll break down the whole interaction for you so you can see what's going on. First, I want to explain how this is possible. All right, so after opening quickly, you use step 2 to see the pull and surface her objections. It's also during this step that you find out her logistical situation. You then use step 3 to answer the objections and take her home. When there's limited objections or no objections, you can take the girl home in less than 5 minutes. Otherwise, typically takes 5 to 20 minutes. All right. And let's see. One sec. This girl's trying to send me a fucking ass pic. Okay. If she has a lot of objections or her shit's difficult to beat, it takes longer than 20 minutes, right? But it's usually pretty quick. So I have this joke with a lot of guys that I've trained. You can look down at your watch before you approach a hot chick and know that literally 20 minutes later she's going to be on the way home with you, because most of the polls happen in less than 20 minutes. All right, so it's pretty fucking cool, like, to have that power. You know, before you've been approached, you look down, it's like 11:20. You go in, you see the poll, you answer her objections, find out her logistical situation, deal with that, and then, you know, basically lead out, that kind of shit. All right, so let me pull up this video here. We'll see how fucking slow this goes.
You're pretty fucked up?
No, it said, hey, fuckhead. All right, so I open in this situation with hey, fuckhead, which was just to kind of prove a point that when you come in, physical, squaring up, strong eye contact, confident, all that shit, that the girl will usually respond positively. So then I am going to move her very slightly over to the bar here and start seating the poll and asking logistical questions.
What's it? I know.
All right.
Come to the bar. We're having an after party.
All right, so we're not even at 20 seconds yet. I'm saying we're having an after party later. Right, so now I'm already starting to surface her objections.
My friend's birthday tonight. Downtown. What are you doing after this?
I said it's my friend's birthday tonight. That's usually what I say when I'm pulling. It's just like a compliance booster, I've found. If it happens to be your friend's birthday, it just makes it more, it fills in more details in their head, so it's like a safer thing. They understand the idea of a birthday, and it's like, you know, going to be extra fun and all that stupid shit.
Where's your place?
I said, what are you doing after this? She said, going back to my place. So now I'm gathering logistical info. Where's your place? Basically to find out if she's a tourist or how far away she has to drive. She tells me where it is. It was like 20 minutes away. We had to bleep that shit out, but it was like 20 minutes.
Are you down to come party for a little bit? We live like 4 blocks from here.
I say, we live 4 blocks from here. You should come party for a little bit. So now I'm basically like putting her to a decision. Notice I haven't even said anything else. I've introduced myself, and I'm immediately jumping into seating the poll and finding out shit about her. We're at 30 seconds. See, this is how the method is so much different than what everyone's doing. Okay. At this point in a set, I want you guys each to think about what you're probably doing. You're probably, I mean, some of you might be thinking, does this girl like me? How am I coming across? All those stupid things. I'm not thinking that ever. Remember, I'm at 100 out of 100 potential. None of that shit's even entering my head. I'm already assuming she's going to leave with me. I just know that she's going to have some little subset of those objections, and I'm going to just go through answering them while I make jokes and vibe. That's all game is. That's literally all it is. You know, so I've introduced myself, and now I'm jumping straight into polling and closing. You know, because I've seeded the poll and done the logistics part.
Why do you come for like 1 hour and then go home? I have to work in the morning. We're going to come for like 1 hour. We have lunch.
Okay, she says she has to be up at some time. I say just come for 1 hour after work in the morning too, in case I'm already starting to answer objections.
We have like a big group of guys and girls going back.
Yeah, well, I'm with my friend. I lost her the moment.
Okay, she says I'm with my friend and I lost her. All right, so okay, that in my mind I'm like, okay, this is gonna be easier because there's not a direct cock block, but the friend is still somewhere in the venue. So I try to like get a little more information about the friend because right now her relationship to the girl is unknown.
Where's your friend?
I say, where's your friend?
I'm trying to find her.
I couldn't find her. I guess I already knew that, but I asked anyways.
She's in here, but
You want to go drink and we can text you the address?
I say, you and I should go drink and we can text her the address. So here we are, we're not even a minute in, 58 seconds. I found out she lost her friend. She lives like at this area 20 minutes away. She has to be up for work. And I've already been answering objections. It's cool. I have to be up early for work too. Just come for like an hour. We'll text your friend the address, right? So you won't have to lose her. She'll come meet up with us.
out of here.
And now I'm basically putting her decision again. Let's get out of here.
I just heard you from Vegas. So like,
She doesn't respond, so I just start filling in some bullshit banter. I'm talking about how I just moved from Vegas and how the clubs aren't open as late and blah blah blah. This is some bullshit, right? I'm gonna get back into logistics in a second.
like so sick of the San Diego club, so like kind of like whatever.
I know.
Do you like the Fireball?
Okay, so now I'm doing something. I didn't really discuss this during the webinar, but I'm doing something I call like filling in the frame. So I just said, do you like Fireball, right? Or I've adapted it since then. Now I say, what kind of liquor do you like? Because if they don't like whatever you put out, then you're kind of like, it takes more compliance, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm doing now is I'm assuming she's coming back with me, and I'm like filling in details about what we're going to do when we get back. So in this case, I'm like, do you like Fireball? I think she says no, and then I'm like, do you like Grey Goose? Because a lot of chicks like vodka. And then I'm like, cool, let's go drink Grey Goose, right? So you're assuming that she's already coming with you, and now you're just filling in details, like we're going to go have this back in my place.
What do you like, Grey Goose?
Jaeger?
You like Grey Goose?
Yeah, it's good.
Says, yeah, it's good.
How is it? I live 2 blocks away.
So now I'm going back to, I live a few blocks away.
Let's go there. There's already people there. We'll go there and drink some shots.
Let's go do some shots,
And then we'll text your friend to meet us.
and we'll text your friend to meet us. So not even a minute and a half yet. Keep in mind, like, I'm not talking about anything else. Like, I'm building, a lot of guys ask me, like, oh, like, don't you build comfort? I'm building comfort through, like, being close proximity, like having the laser eye contact. I'll make jokes here and there. Like, you'll hear me. I start making some jokes and stuff. I'm still, like, being flirty, all that kind of stuff. But you're building comfort and all that shit as a byproduct of running logistics. This is a really important concept. Like, I'm defeating her objections and continuing on the pole seating and the logistics shit while also building all the attraction and comfort, right? But I'm just executing my program, like figuring out what I need to do to get her out of there and then doing it.
I need to find my friend first.
She says, I need to find my friend first. Okay, so like I said, the most common objection you get is I can't leave my friend. Or in this case, I need to find my friend. And let's see how I deal with that.
What?
Well, okay, at first I say why. So now I'm trying to figure out, this is kind of like digging at her relationship with the friend. Or why she needs to find her, so I can answer the objection.
I came here with her.
Should I came here with her?
I'm her driver.
I'm her driver. All right, so now I've found out that she needs to drive her friend back home. That makes things a little bit tougher, but still not a deal breaker. I can still convince her that we're either going to come back to the club or that we'll have the friend meet us.
My friend's on the smoking section.
So at this point, I go into baby stepping. I didn't really talk about that either, but for those of you that don't know, baby stepping is just instead of asking for something that's like a big compliance request, you're just breaking it down into smaller compliance requests. So the way this translates into something practical, in clubs that have smoking sections that are near the cabs, this is a really, really good technique. You just move the girl to the smoking section, and then it's much easier for her to pull into the cab because you've already got her most of the way to the cab. You already left the club, and it builds up what they call like compliance momentum from old school mystery type terms. She's already complied with one request, now it's easier to comply with the next. And you can even throw in the idea that you built a bubble by changing environments and the two of you remain the same. Whatever the fuck, however you want to like analyze that. It is generally easy to move her to the smoking area, then to the cab, then straight to the cab. So in this situation, I also did this because I didn't want to run into the friend in the club. Okay, so again, I'm just being very strategic. If we run into the friend, the fucking party's over. Okay, so at this point, I said, let's go to the smoking section.
Can you meet my friends today in the smoking section upstairs?
Smoking section upstairs?
Yeah.
She didn't even know there was a smoking section, so she's like, oh, there's a smoking section upstairs? I'm like, yep.
I want to be done. We're not going to leave.
I know, but I don't think my friend knows how to get there.
She's like, I don't know if my friend knows how to get to the smoking section.
It's just up one flight of stairs.
Okay, this club's like an underground club. It's like one floor below the street level. So I'm like, oh, it's cool. It's just one floor upstairs. It's not a big deal, right? So it's just you're just lowering compliance thresholds, making it easier for her to comply.
We're not going to leave.
I'm like, it's cool. We're not going to leave. It's just one flight of stairs up. Everything's always like, I'm only 4 blocks away. I'm only 5 minutes away. We're just going to go up there for 2 seconds. you're just going to come back to my house for one drink. All that just makes it easier for the girls to comply. That even translates into like really micro type stuff, like on a moving set during the daytime, 2 seconds, that kind of shit. The reason that works is it just buys you like a little bit of time, or lowers the compliance bar enough so that you can move to the next step. All right, so I've told her it's cool. We're going to come right back. We're only going up a flight of stairs, blah, blah, blah. All right, so we're not even at 2 minutes yet, and she's already going almost all the way to the cabs with me at this point. Look, we're not even at 2 minutes. What have we talked about besides her logistics and pole seating, right? And I build a little bit more comfort when we get to the smoking section. And in this walk right now, I'm building comfort too. But you should be bantering girls when you're pulling them out of the club. You should be like just making regular small talk that you would normally have on dates. So you're not going to be able to hear a lot of this. It's probably going to be choppy, but we're just talking about what she's majoring in school, and what I majored in school, and some other stupid shit. It's funny because I think the walk out of the club actually takes longer than the set has so far.
You remember my name, right? What was my name? You remember? No! My name is Simon. You? Shit. I got the first part, right? Where do you live? You have a house?
I'm just talking about like her living situation, her school, this isn't really that noteworthy. It's basically just like fucking having a conversation. But do you see how I've, optimized, so to speak, or made it as efficient as possible? Like I'm doing this shit on the walk out of the club rather than standing around spinning my wheels in the set, right? I already overcame all the difficult parts in the first 2 minutes.
You have a house? Do you own your own house?
Honestly, I don't know.
You don't know if you own your own house?
Thank you. I just came here with my friend, and I went out.
Where do you live, though?
Here.
Oh, yeah. Are you?
Yeah.
What? Oh, I did psych and computer science. I did a master's in cognitive.
Say sorry?
Are you gonna be?
I was thinking about it, but
I did psych and computer science.
All right, so we're still walking out of the club. Apologize for the choppiness. There's like one or two more objections once we get to the smoking section. I'll just give it 1 second here.
I did a master's in cognitive psych. Yeah.
That's a lot of information.
So I did like psychic language, like sensation perception, like morphology, all that shit. Are you really into that shit? Yeah, morphology.
Okay, here's one important thing to note. So talking about the topic of re-entry in clubs, all right? I'm not sure what it's like in Orlando or in these other cities you other guys that are on the call are in, but the key with re-entry is you are going to get cock-blocked to fuckload by the bouncer. Okay, so just know that right now. If you don't deal with it in advance. Okay, there's the caveat. And that's pretty much a really shitty feeling. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already had this happen. The way it goes is you're pulling. A lot of you guys probably aren't pulling it either, so you haven't experienced this. When you're leaving the club with a girl, it's in the bouncer's best interest to make sure that that girl knows that she can't get back in if there's no re-entry, because the bar makes money or the club makes money by people buying drinks. So if they're like, just so you know, you can't leave or you can't come back in, right? Then the people are going to be less likely to leave and they're going to spend more money on drinks. So the bouncer is going to push that in her face pretty fucking hard when you're pulling. All right. So the way you deal with that, you tell the girl in advance, usually like when you're getting close to the exit, or she might even ask. That's another objection. They might ask in the set, what if how are we going to get back in? There's no re-entry at this club. The answer to that works the best, it's cool, I know the people that work the door. Okay? Now, you should be befriending the bouncers. Like in every city I've lived in, I've made really close friends with the bouncers at all the clubs I go to, with the managers of the clubs if possible, for like, line skips and free covers and that kind of shit. You can get free covers to the bouncers too. You should find out who the head promoters are, like the promotion companies, and find out who their bosses are and befriend those people. And you just get hooked up at every club, line skips, fucking, and I don't pay any of these guys either. I'm just friendly to them. Line skips, free covers, all that shit, right? So that's good for social proof too. when you bring girls out to clubs or meet girls in line to skip the line, that kind of shit. And also for reentry, right? And it just makes you, it's just cool just knowing all those people, right? But if you don't know the bouncer, still say it anyways. And worst case scenario, if you come back, if it's an early night pull and you come back to the club, you're going to have to pay your cover, all right? And if you're too cheap or whatever, then I don't know what to say. But just know that, just be like, oh, it's cool. I know the bouncer. I know the door people. Like, we'll be able to get back in. You just tell them that, right? And a lot of times they'll be like, are you sure? And you're like, yeah, it's totally cool. Like, I know everybody here. Like, we'll be able to get back in, no problem, right? And you're going to hear in this situation, the bouncer's like, no reentry, no reentry, no reentry. And if I hadn't addressed that or told her about this shit, a lot of times the girl will freeze up and be like, oh, no reentry? You said we were coming back, right? I can't leave with you. And it blows the set out after you just put in all this work. All right, so that's basically all there is to say about that. You're going to see it happen and hear how I deal with it.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
It's like the form of words. What's up, man? It's like the form of words.
Make sure you get a stamp for reentry.
You never heard of that?
He says, make sure you get the stamp for reentry. All right, no, sorry, there is reentry. This club eventually stopped doing reentry, but during the time of this filming, there is reentry, so this doesn't even apply right now. But you will see, in this case, there was reentry. Like, if there wasn't reentry to this club, that's a good spot where he could have blown the set out. Okay, so all this shit is just having strategy and tactics that you know about. Like, I know when I approach a set, I'm going to get X number of objections. I know what to say. I know when I go to escalate, how to calibrate accordingly there. I know what to do if the girl responds negatively on my open. I know what to do to frame the date really solid if she can't pull that night. I know what to say to prevent the reentry cock blocking. So this is what good game is. It's knowing what to do in these key situations. And then the rest of the time, you're just being yourself and vibing. So, okay, there's like one or two more objections. We actually run into two Irish girls. I had like banged their friend like the week before or whatever, but they just serve as like social proof and tell me this girl's beautiful or whatever, but it's not really relevant.
I'm texting the runs come out. It's a black light.
Okay, so we just got a re-entry stamp. Keep in mind, we're not even at 4 minutes yet from the time that I approached, and it's pretty much almost all the way over.
I think that way, please, you're right. They're going you guys need stamps? Let's go to my good friends.
If I run into Irish girls, what are you going to fucking do? I would have preferred to just leave, but I have to talk to these Irish girls for a minute, but it's fine. You just play it to your advantage.
Make your way that way, please. Exit that way. Please walk with it.
No.
Is that right?
Yeah.
This is John, the DJ on my phone.
Oh my God.
We had 6 ones. Wait, this is my Irish friend.
Oh, it's actually a really funny story. So I hooked up with their friend, but then one of these other girls that's in this group, their friend's not out with them on this night, the one that I hooked up with, but one of these other girls in their group, I actually got her number too. And so like, she mentioned just now, she was like, oh, he's been texting me a lot because I was trying to get the other friend to meet up. And so I'm sure you guys have heard of conversational threads, but that's like a thread that I didn't even entertain because I didn't want it to blow out my current girl. So I just didn't even acknowledge it. I just changed the subject, okay? Because I don't want the girl I'm with like thinking I'm texting some other girl, right? It's just gonna blow it out.
Hey, Aria.
This girl's cool shit. She runs the party buses and brings.
We're partners in
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
She brings like 100 foreigners to the clubs.
Oh, nice.
Nice work. Everyone loves not being able to speak.
John, the
We didn't speak English.
So we're just talking about how the Irish girls are promoters and blah 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 blah.
I know, but not nice.
We don't speak English or
This is their first language, guys.
Look how pretty she is. Isn't she so pretty?
Beautiful. Well done. Oh.
So I'm like, isn't this girl really pretty? The one that I'm pulling, the Irish girls are like, she's beautiful, well done, blah blah blah. And you don't want to like stall out the set like too long, right? So I basically just added like a little bit of social proof, not really relevant to the whole breakdown here, but just a little side note. And now I'm going to basically talk about the pull to this girl again and then answer her last objection or two.
He is looking very good.
She's not mine. She's just my friend. She's just my friend.
Because also during the period of time we had a fucking shitty cameraman, so most of our other footage is a lot better with the angles. But
I'm good.
I'm just letting you to know.
Listen.
Sorry.
all right, so again, I'm being physical still. I redirect her attention. I say, look at me. All right. now I'm gonna be telling her to leave with me again, and she's gonna give like 1 or 2 more objections.
Can we go drink Fireball and Grey Goose, come back?
I said let's go drink Fireball and Grey Goose and come right back.
I'm trying. I have a responsibility to find my friend.
I have a responsibility to find my friend. Same objection as before, but now we have the compliance momentum. We're right near the cabs, so it's gonna be easier.
I have like 7 friends in here. We'll just text everyone to meet us.
Like my friends are here too. I'll text my friends to come meet us, and you text your friend to come meet us.
Where are you trying to go?
This is where you're trying to go.
It's like
Again, I'm just reiterating that I live close by.
3 blocks away.
Where?
3 blocks away.
We just moved downtown. Do
Okay.
you know downtown or no?
Yeah, a little bit.
You know what Singer is?
Right.
So I'm telling her a popular club that she knows. I say I live right by there. It's only like 5 blocks away or whatever.
We live right near that.
Okay.
And we're gonna bring my friends with us. It's not just you and me. And we'll just text them to come to this address. It'll be super fun. It's my friend's birthday.
I say we'll text all our friends, come to the address. It's gonna be fun because it's my friend's birthday. It's not that far. These are like the things you usually have to hammer home in each pull. A lot of times you're just repeating them.
Cool?
Yeah. What's the address?
Yeah.
Says okay, what's the address? So I put in the address in her friend's phone or in her phone.
Text it. There you go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, and that's it. I guess it was slightly over 5 minutes. We ran into those girls I knew, but and then I usually like I've been physical the whole time, but I haven't made out with her and shit. A lot of times I'll start making out in the cab, and that just like makes LMR almost non-existent once you get home. Or you can start making out in the venue. This was a short set. A lot of times they're 15 to 20 minutes, so you'll have more time to make jokes and make out and shit like that.
We're going to Parkin Island.
Just like skipping ahead.
I'm like, what's your name?
I'm just making
My name is
jokes, and then she speaks Spanish, so we're all fucking talking to her in Spanish. Blah blah blah. All right, so I'm gonna recap kind of what you saw. Let's see. So I opened using the 4 pillars of step 1: starting eye contact, squaring up, being loud enough, being physical. And because I did all this, I was able to open with "Hey fuckhead," showing you that what you say doesn't matter if you're hitting the 4 pillars of opening. That was step 1. Step 2 involved planning the idea of her coming home with me within 30 seconds. Along with finding out a bunch of logistical information about her situation. I found out she was there with her friend, and she was her friend's ride, but she had lost her friend. I added in some physicality during this step to keep me out of the friend zone and show her I was interested romantically. There's also the man-to-woman frame, as RSD calls it. And then in step 3, I answered her objections by saying that I have to be up early too. Let's just go to the smoking area, and then we can text your friends the address, your friend the address to come meet us. And then she left. I hope you guys are blown away by this, because you probably didn't know that you could do it this quickly and realize how easy it can be. All right, so now you know basically how to open, how to lead the interaction towards bringing the girl home, and you know how to handle the objections and pulling the trigger to take her home. All right, so who else thinks you could get good with this right now? And you can pull 2 or 3 times in a night. Like, you could even do more, but it takes time to fucking have sex once you're back home. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever. And sometimes you don't even feel like going back out after. These are quality problems to have. But the point is, once you understand this shit, you don't need to do 1,000 approaches. Do you see how it's not a question of doing 1,000 approaches or watching 200 pickup videos or whatever the fuck strategies everyone's doing? Because that's not how you actually get good at this. You just need to know how to structure it so that you take her home and how to answer objections. So this differs from a lot of the other methods that are out there because it's so optimized, and it's also really simple. Okay, so like I said, you learn a lot more by seeing it in action, right? Hearing what I'm saying, what I'm doing, all that shit. Like you could read ebook after ebook, and you still might not realize what the interaction looks like. And that was really choppy, but let's see. I think this is 447 because this is when I gave the presentation last. Okay. So I want you to realize lots of times it takes 5 to 20 minutes to take the girl home. but it's going to be very fast and consistent. All right. This is how I've gotten to 458 in my life. I put this picture in here because, like, you know, I say go to the gym and shit like that. I just recently started doing that, as in like today. It was like the first time. I was working out a little bit this past spring, but I actually just started going back again today. But you know, this goes to show you, like, I wasn't in good shape during most of these closes. I was never overweight. I've always had a high metabolism. But you know, no matter what you look like or whatever, if you can fucking do the same shit I'm doing, you're gonna get results that are pretty close, right? Like, I'm not even like that much above average looking, if at all. I wasn't born with these skills. Like I said, I was incredibly fucking awkward in high school. So there's really no reason why you can't get 2 new hot girls a week, all right, which is over 100 a year. So let's see. All right. So I asked you guys a question. We've been on this stuff for almost an hour and a half. How many of you guys feel a little bit like this right now? Okay. This is really one of my favorite pictures in the world. Last year I was giving a private seminar covering some of these concepts. Afterwards, one of the guys in the audience came up to me and said, John, that was amazing. I feel like I had a fire hose in my mouth for an entire hour. Then a little while later, I found this picture and I said, this is probably how people feel like, or how people felt like during my talk, because I'll get excited and talk fast, and I apologize. I want to make sure you guys got the core concepts so we had the chance to be together. But the reality is there's a lot more of this stuff. There's a lot more things I can share with you guys. And so I wanted to put together something special to help take this to the next level for you guys. All right, before I show you this, I wanted to ask you guys permission. Are you okay with me sharing a special package I put together for all you guys today? All right, this is something I actually just finished like about a month ago. I wanted to put all my game into one spot besides the boot camps I was running. So I hope I provided enough value so far, but I want to talk to you about this package. If you're not interested in any kind of paid programs, just drop off or tune this part out. Not a big deal. I do this for a living, so I want to be able to share with you guys what services I offer. So basically what I put together, it's a comprehensive game training package. Basically what you would get is, let's see, I have a breakdown. It's this masterclass of training. Here is the breakdown by modules. So the first one has to do with opening, vibing. Compliance is like a huge part that ripples all through every area of game that I think is super important to understand in all the different details. Logistics and seating the pool. Escalation, isolation, baby stepping, leading, and how to deal with all the different types of obstacles. Number 4, how to go over objections and objection handling and pulling. And then number 5, number closing for meetups at the end of the night, number closing for dates, how to set up dates, how to execute dates too, and how to build and manage rotations. And then also day game and hired guns. So, like I said, I want to make this comprehensive as possible while staying as concise as possible. So all this information is very practical and actionable and optimized. And like I said, this covers any area that I thought was worthy of talking about in game. I have like the optimized solution all spelled out for it. So you'll be able to start pulling hot girls consistently, fix your sticking points, make everything click, minimize rejection, make the best use of your nights, get more dates and more girls you can handle. Like, I use spreadsheets. All the best guys I know use spreadsheets because it's just like impossible to keep track of all the girls you meet and all the dates and even your rotation when you have to see them and all that shit. It's like it becomes almost like a full-time job. I mean, you can take on as much as you want for whatever you have time to do. I'm sure a lot of you would like to have the problem of having to trim down on the amount of girls you have rather than, what you're currently dealing with being able to get laid at all. You'll also be able to get rid of lots of rejection, having to approach a lot, countless nights of failure, confusion, incorrect game, it slows you down, tons of frustration, wasted time, effort, and in some cases money. So what you get is the full Seduction Mind Hacks Masterclass training. I want to point out this works for guys of all levels. Like, I've even taught guys that have been with over 100 chicks, right? So trust me if you think that you're good enough or too cool for school. And I'm just making a joke here about Xavier. I heard you're pretty good from Ben, so that's cool. But point is, there's still a giant amount of improvement anyone can make, including myself. I'm almost to 500, and you know, there's still like key areas I'm actually focusing on improving. That's what makes this all so fun. It's really like never mastered. And you might be thinking, I like Tinder, Plenty of Fish, OkCupid, or some of you even might do Coffee Meets Bagel for that one match a day at noon with a 6. Yeah, I don't know about you guys. It seems like there's more ugly girls on Coffee Meets Bagel. I don't know what the fuck that is. I guess because they're looking for quality. But it's pretty stupid. I mean, I use it, but most of the girls are a reject. So this is literally my online blueprint for how I've optimized the online game. And trust me, you can fucking clean house with online too. I use the same strategy for how I optimize my night game as with this. So as you see here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this picture here with the skiing thing, that's me in front of a green screen with like 20 composite images. DJing this big event. I actually was a DJ, but it looks like I'm DJing like some like global festival. That's in front of a green screen as well. This main headshot here, that was photoshopped, and professional camera, professional lighting, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole bunch of strategies that go into this shit. Same thing with your profile description that are just going to give you tons of matches and tons of dates. Okay, so I cover all the things you need to do to optimize matching up with tons of hot girls. I go over swiping secrets for Tinder, how to get the most Tinder matches. I talked to one of the guys that developed the algorithm for Tinder. I cover message sequences to use on the site, the different online sites or in the apps. I cover how to text after you get the number, what to do if they don't reply. I even go over quality problems like managing all the leads that will come in, and a whole lot more. Okay, so basically part of this package, you get all the masterclass training, which is the nighttime shit, the daytime shit, pulling, and all the online stuff. But guys also have no fucking clue how to text. Guys have a lot of issues with this. I used to too. This was something I struggled with for a long time. Like, there wasn't really any good like text manual out there. So I basically sat down extensively with the guys I knew who had a rock solid text game. By the way, guys, I just want to point out I'm going to be hitting Q&A shortly, like probably in the next 10-15 minutes. So even if you're not interested in this shit, just bear with me for like 10-15 minutes, and then I can answer all the questions you guys have asked. And feel free to keep asking questions too in the question box. So what I did, like I mentioned before, I created a whole texting flowchart. It's this giant, super nerdy flowchart that takes every control path all the way from a number to setting up a date in every possible situation that can happen, and it gives you the exact texts and exact like how long to wait if she doesn't reply and that kind of shit. So it's a complete formula. Actually, here it is right here. So it covers. Let me see here. It covers every possible control path from getting a phone number to set up a date. It tells you how to optimally frame an end of the night meetup or a day 2 meetup. It tells you how to make the numbers super solid. And it gives you the exact text to send at each point. So this basically removes all the guesswork. You just follow the flowchart. It optimizes converting your leads into dates. It's kind of like what Leonardo DiCaprio probably built for his fucking people in the movie Wolf of Wall Street. It's really that simple. Doing like what you think is going to work and texting, you're probably going to fuck up a shitload and burn a lot of your leads. So to recap, you're going to get the masterclass training, online game, phone number to date, texting flowchart. And the last thing, remember how I talked about how I've optimized poll scripts, optimized answers to their objections. These are scripts you can memorize and objection answers you can memorize. You're going to be using these every single time you poll. It's plain and simple. You're going to be saying the script and you're going to be answering the objections with the answers. So I made this list of the poll scripts and the objection answers. You can just memorize basically. So this is my favorite movie here. As I mentioned a few times, Leonardo DiCaprio is a stockbroker. He has optimized sets of scripts and objection answers, trains the sales team of regular guys, and that's pretty much how this all works too. It's giving the students the harpoon that he refers to in the movie. Allows you to fast forward up to an advanced level since everything's already been optimized and figured out for you. All right, so this shit took years to develop and perfect. I already have lots of guys using this and completely destroying. It's like a way to just become advanced like immediately. Not even just the poll scripts and stuff, just the whole package overall. So to recap one more time, masterclass training, the online game, the texting flowchart, and the poll scripts and objection answers. Okay, so all this did was finally get you labeled a stunner. Would that be worth it to you? Or if it just got you one new hot girl a week, would that be worth it? Or if it was able to make everything clear and had all the confusion and frustration, would that be worth it? What about if all this did was give you the rotation or girlfriend of your dreams? Would that be worth it? Or how to consistently turn phone numbers into dates and consistently close those dates, shave countless years off the path to become advanced, or knowing the exact words to pull and the exact answers for objections, okay? So I want you guys to ask yourself a very serious question here. What's one stunner on rotation worth to you? Like I've had multimillionaire clients from like the Bay Area and stuff like that, or that have flown in from other countries, and they want to trade lives with me. You know, like I have far less money than them, but they, you know, want these skills. Like you can't like really put a price on like having like a 9 on rotation. Like they're unable to do it. You know, so they have all this money, but they're unable to do that. They don't want to just pay a hooker. They want the girl to actually like them. So I want you guys to think about like what that would be worth to you. Okay, to have like a girl that's like a 9 or above, like be in love with you and obsessed with you. All right. Do you see why lots of people are paying $10,000 per week of training to master all this? Like I said, guys have flown in from all around the world. But you know, you can't even put a price on a lot of this shit. You know, I valued the whole package around like $4,000. I'm charging $1,000 currently through a website, but today only, when I do these webinars, I do the whole package for $500. So it's a one-time thing through PayPal, and right now I have, when I do boot camps, if anybody's interested in a boot camp too, hit me up about that as well. I usually talk about boot camps and shit, but I don't know how many people want to do live training. My program for a boot camp, it's a 3-night program, and it's $1,500. I used to charge $2,000, but I'm trying to be more competitive, so I do $1,500. But this whole set of training is probably more valuable than a boot camp because I can only tell you so much shit in person, whereas this is like all areas of game basically at your disposal to watch at any time. But you can use this link if you're interested. It's just a $500 PayPal link, and I usually use this for bootcamp deposits, which are $500 too. But I'll know if it comes in during this webinar that it was for the training package. So I also offer, let's see. So the real question is it worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check it out? Which, if it does even only half of what I'm claiming on this training, it'll pay for itself in your first week or month of optimized gaming. So to recap one more time: MasterClass training, online game, phone number to date, flowchart, pull scripts, and objection answers. Okay, so now we're gonna go over Q&A. Let me take a look at the question box, and feel free to continue to put questions in here too. Let's see. I'm just gonna go in order. Let's see. Okay. Someone said about the friend birthday thing, how would you adapt that if you're out alone? Okay, just a note about being out alone in general. Even when I'm out with like advanced wings, we still mostly do the sets on our own. The big exception is like if we're doing like we'll gun down like 2 sets and stuff. If I have like an advanced guy out with me, a lot of times we'll hit up 2 sets and both our girls will like us, and then it's, you know, there's no other cock blocks, so it's awesome. Or you can hit up 3 or 4 sets. I try to like avoid, you know, these are just general comments real quick. I try to avoid sets that are like 5 girls or more. Just got found out that all you need is like 1 diehard cock block to fuck everything up. Even like 4 sets can be a fucking pain in the ass. 2 and 3 sets are really where it's at, or obviously a 1 set. But if you're out solo, my point with all that is that your wing isn't even going to be that useful a lot of times anyways. Like when I lived in Vegas, I had, you know, guys living with me in a mansion that were long-term students, and they all sucked when they came in. And, you know, I'd get them really good pretty quickly, but I typically had like, you know, bad wings, like, because there were always new guys coming to the program and shit, and they would actually bring the set down. So that helped me get even better too, because I had to like, you know, make up for all this shit they were doing wrong. But, you know, if you're solo, just say that your friends are in a different part of the club, or that you're gonna like meet them back at the house or whatever. It's usually not even an issue. Like she's just gonna assume that you're there with people, But in regards to the birthday thing, you're gonna say like, oh, it's my roommate's birthday, like he's back at the house, or like he's gonna meet us back at the house, that kind of shit. You know, if they're like, oh, are you here by yourself? And you're like, oh no, my friends are in the other room. Anyways, blah blah blah, right? So I hope that answers that. Someone said there are no bouncers in Orlando. You get a wristband and you get in and out whenever. Okay, that's cool. In most cities there are bouncers. I think in every city I've lived in there's been bouncers. But yeah, if you have a wristband for re-entry, you're golden. A lot of places I've lived in there's no re-entry, and that fucks with shit. How do you befriend a bouncer or promoter? I actually was a club DJ before I got into game, just as like a side fun thing. But I encourage students to just say they're a DJ or a promoter themselves. Or say, you know, if you're going to say the promoter thing to a promoter, they're probably going to like wonder which promotion company you're under. So you would say that you were a promoter in some other cool city or whatever. So like when I lived in Miami, I would be like, hey, what's up? I was a DJ in Vegas. In New York, I'll be like, I was a DJ in Vegas. In Vegas, I'd be like, oh, I was a DJ in London, whatever, right? Just cementing your industry. And I'm not going to get into stripper game, but that's how you get in with a stripper too, is cementing that your industry. It's like the whole us versus them. So the bouncer immediately sees you as like someone in the industry. If you say that you're like a DJ or you used to be a bartender or whatever. I like the DJ thing because I actually did do it, and it carries a lot of like respect and social proof and adventurous life and all this other shit. I also say that to girls in the beginning of each set usually. I'll be like, hey, what's up? I just moved here from Vegas. I'm going to be DJing at the local clubs. What do you do? You know, that's how I start off a lot of my sets, and then I jump into seating the pool. But yeah, you're basically just going to tell them you just moved there, and even if you haven't just moved there, that's what I always say. And that's usually what I say in every set too, is that I just moved there. And it almost like, I guess, gives a little bit more of an excuse to be cold approaching to the girl on the set. That stuff's not really that relevant, but that's how I do it. I'll just go up to the bouncer and be like, hey, what's up? I just moved here. Or the promoter, I just moved here. You know, I was a DJ here. I was a promoter here. I'm going to be getting back into that shit out here. What's your name? Right? Just being cool. Also, I'm probably be coming here a lot. Like, let me get your number. Like, you know, and then you see him the next time. You're like, hey, what's up? I got a couple friends with me, or you text them like, hey, I got some people coming through. Can you comp us for tonight? Whatever. And you know, a lot of these guys will just go totally out of their way to help you. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like I had a really good connect in San Diego, and I would just bring like, I would be running boot camps all the time. I would bring like 5 guys in, or like sometimes I'd be running like a really big boot camp with another instructor, and we'd have like 12 guys, and they just cut us all through the line and free cover for everybody, which is, there's always hot girls like waiting in line. So, you know, just basically just be friendly to them every time you see them, and you're going to probably see the same fucking workers every time, even the bartenders. Just be friendly to those people, because, you know, doing game in these spots regularly, like they're going to see you so much, and it just adds like social proof, you know, when you're walking through the venue and you're just like slapping hands with the bouncer, like the bartenders are all saying what's up to you. You know, it just helps. Trust me, it'll like carry into your sets in a positive way. How would you adapt the pull if you live far away? What I've found is if it's over like 45 minutes, move closer or find a friend that lives closer. That being said, you want to be like in the 20 to 25 minute or less range, optimally. If you know what we found, again, this is really technical, but what we found is the girls' objections will start coming back out around the 8 to 12 minute mark in the cab ride home, or this can even happen in the walk home. Like I've had some girls that are like, oh no, I want to walk, I don't want to get in the cab, and like it's like 10 blocks or something like that, and all of a sudden we're like a block away from the house, but like 10 or 12 minutes have gone by, and they're like, I thought we would be there, but now like fuck this, blah blah blah, and the set blows out, right? And we could have taken a cab there in like 2 minutes, and we were only a block away. But in general, when you're pulling, the rule is just to banter, like banter. You want to keep words flowing. You can think of it like a line graph. Think of kind of like a point, like on a graph, and on like a horizontal line below it somewhere. That's like a threshold. And when that dot crosses that threshold, it's going to blow the set out. And as there's like periods of silence or awkwardness, the dot is traveling towards that horizontal line. That's how it works. So like bantering is like super key. It doesn't matter what the fuck you say. Like I have students that have been like, I like sharks. Like you probably shouldn't say retarded shit because that just sounds weird. You know, you should have the ability to like start conversational threads and like flow with words. If not, make sure you develop that ability. But that being said, you just need to banter more. Like in Vegas, I had a mansion 25 minutes away from most of the clubs, and it was never an issue. I just would just rattle my mouth in the cab. And if an objection does come up, even though you're bantering, you just answer it with the same answer you used before, or if it's a new one, you just answer it, and then you cut the thread and you change the topic. So like, say I live like 20 minutes away, and like we get to like 15 minutes, and she's like, why aren't we there yet? Like I thought it was only 10 minutes away, and you're like, oh, it's cool. Like it's just like a few more blocks. Anyways, tell me more about what you do for work, right? And you're also being physical and that kind of shit on the way home. Please post objections response list. That's part of that package that I'm offering, so I'm not going to do that. Also, best city for pickup in your opinion. The cities I've lived in are New York City, London, Amsterdam, Beijing, San Diego, Philadelphia, Las Vegas, Miami, and then some other random cities in New York, Toronto, very briefly. I like San Diego a lot. I did about 200 days there, but I was there for like a year and a half. Yeah, I think I preferred San Diego to like Vegas and Miami because Vegas and Miami were like too touristy. Like a quick note about Vegas, like I know RSD holds their immersion program there. I actually did my long-term mansion coaching program there as well. Vegas is going to be a lot harder than regular cities for most people in game. The reason is the typical girl in Vegas is there for like vacation or like some special event, right? She's there for like vacation or a birthday or a bachelor party, and she's there with like her best friends. What does that mean? The cock blocking is like way harder. Like when a chick's out in her normal city, like in a regular city, she might be out with coworkers or she might be out with like like acquaintances or whatever. Plus they're traveling to Vegas, like all these tourists. So like they don't even know the city. So like when you're trying to pull them off the strip, it's like, you know, stressful and activate safety concerns and all that kind of shit. Whereas, you know, like in Orlando, if the girl lives in Orlando, she's like, oh yeah, I know this area where you want to go because I fucking live here and I can take a cab 10 minutes home in the morning or an Uber or whatever. Where if they're visiting, they're like, the friends are going to cock block you harder. The girl's less comfortable about leaving the strip because she doesn't know the area. And it's like some diehard special event. Like, oh, I can't leave the birthday. I can't leave the bachelorette party. And the clubs are open till 4. So like a lot of them, since they're on vacation and shit, want to stay till the very end. They're more reluctant to leave before the very end. So all those things considered. And like day twos are like fucking a nightmare because like I had like a million situations where the girl had full intention to meet up for the day two, and they have like packed itineraries. It's like, say you meet her and she's like in town one more day, and she's like, I really want to meet up tomorrow. Then that next day, her friends have planned like, we're doing brunch, and then we're gonna lay by the pool, and then we're doing dinner here, and then we're getting our hair ready for the fucking club, and then we're going to the club, and then we're packing up and going to the airport. So like day twos are a fucking nightmare too. And then even the girls you do close fly away most of the time. So you're left with all this like heartbreak. You have these like little like 1 week or 3 day like awesome flings, and then the girl's out of your life forever. And she's like, I'll be back next year. And you're like, I don't give a shit because I wish you lived here. So Vegas isn't all it's cracked up to be. I got pretty sick of it. And then Miami was a lot of the same shit. I was only in Miami for a few months. I'm in New York now. But Miami was even worse than Vegas. It was, I don't know. It was too superficial, and the clubs were just like huge dance floors. It was on the dance floor. It's like too loud and too crowded to run game. So you have like these like small areas and these giant clubs around the perimeter to run game. And I don't know. I didn't really like it that much. But in general, regular cities are good for game. Like you don't need to have huge venues. I like huge venues, but you don't need to have huge venues. You know, I did really well in Philly. I did really well in San Diego. Those were just regular cities where the girls live there. I'd probably prefer those a lot more to when the girls are traveling. In London, the girls will actually approach you, and girls try to pull guys at the end of the night because they want to get laid too, which is fucking hilarious. Okay, was that an infield in the first half of the night or second? I think that was around like 11:30, and the club closed at 2. So, personal quotes: do you still day trade consistently? No, I do not day trade stocks anymore. How can I do this if I'm 18 living with my parents? I've actually had situations during game where I didn't have my own spot to pull to, and you can pull to their house. Everything I taught you, I didn't tell you all the details of what I'm doing, but in general, you seed the pull to their house, and you try to find out all the variables that are out of your control. So it's like, how far away do you live? Do you have a roommate? Do you have your own room? Like, how do you know your roommate? Like, is she gonna be like slut shamed if she bangs someone at her house? That kind of shit. Or you can try to go to like some fucking park in the woods. I don't know. Like, you just have to get creative, basically, if your parents aren't home. But yeah, if you have a friend where you could pull to his place, that shit works too. I'm like kind of against bathroom pulls and stairway pulls, that kind of shit, just for like the danger factor, because it's actually like illegal to be doing that kind of shit. I've heard of friends getting fucked over, so I would stay away from that kind of shit, but it's up to you. Someone asked objections with LMR. Wash, rinse, repeat. I know you've all heard that before, but that's really all it is. Escalate, push forward until you get resistance, and then take a step back, calibrate accordingly. Let's try to like get them turned on. They all talk dirty to them and fucking you can be like, don't worry, we're not gonna bang, and that like gets you further along. And then they get horny and want to bang. Most of it's just them not wanting to feel like a slut. But yeah, you won't really get much LMR if you are making out in the club or on the way home in the cab, or like once you get out of the cab if you're making out on the street and shit. And keep in mind that just some chicks aren't going to close. And kind of like something I realized in the past year, rather than like trying to like quote unquote hard close, like maybe like you get a whole bunch of LMR and you're like, okay, like I'm determined to break this, and like you break it. Like a lot of times those chicks aren't going to call you back. So like I have another advanced friend, because they're going to feel a lot of buyer's remorse. So I have another advanced friend that will just he'll like move it along, but it's pretty obvious usually, like if they have like a big comfort threshold issue. And the way he always puts it is like, this applies to like closing day twos as well. I always just be like, I have to close on the day 2. But the way he looks at it is, if it takes one more date or even 2 more dates, or if it takes a date after the pull to close, and that girl's gonna be in your life for months, who gives a shit, right? I think that's a really good point. Like if you try to go like way over the top, and then afterwards she's like, oh my god, I feel like such a slut, she's gonna probably not hang out with you again. So you just lost like a really cool chick. Obviously if you pull like a 6 or 7 or whatever, and you're like, I don't even want to see this girl again, then those considerations don't apply. But I think there is something to be said for, Mystery used to talk about the 4 to 10 hour rule of building comfort with an average of 7 hours, and RSD kind of threw that out the window. I still think that there's some merit to that. Like I've looked back at old school Mystery materials, and I do agree with a bunch of it. And he talks about the narrative in her head after she does shit before she's comfortable enough, is that she's like, I barely know this guy, like I feel like a slut now, and when he texts me now, it just reminds me that I'm like a slut, so I'm just gonna like cut this guy off. So without going too much into that kind of shit, just wash, rinse, repeat, but like be cognizant of like just hitting like a line, and just sometimes just being cool with waiting like another date or another couple dates. Kino techniques. If I had a webcam on, I could show you. I'll try to describe it verbally. When I open, my left hand will grab their right hand, so it goes like straight across, and then I'll like put my right hand around their back, around their lower back, and I think I move my hand, their one hand to my other hand first. It's kind of like I'm like in there, like locked in, like arm around their back with one of our hands being held. That's usually how I open. For makeouts, I'll like pull them in close to let me see your eyes. I don't do gay shit like spins. I will do a spin if I want to like see their ass, and I'll like tell them I want to see your ass. I'll be like, damn, it looks like you have a hot ass, or like, oh, I didn't see your ass yet. Do a spin, and they're like, did you really just check out my ass? I'm like, yep. So like, you can talk to chicks like that, and they actually love being talked to like that. Other keynote techniques, I'm not really doing many like techniques. It's just be fucking physical. On a day 2, you want to be like poking at them and putting an arm on their leg or hand on their leg, grabbing a hand, that kind of shit, building up the escalation over the course of the night. In the venue, just be up close, like in their space, with an arm around them, that kind of shit, like arm around their lower back. But there isn't really like a whole lot of like techniques. It's just like be physical. How you're handling the friends when you're the guy they don't know. Someone said most of my sets get fucked from the friend dragging her away. I don't really acknowledge cock blocks or friends in the group unless they become an issue. So say I open the girl I want to talk to, the friend's like, hey, we're lesbians. I now know that friend's going to be a pain in the ass, and I need to win that friend over. Or say I open and the girl's like, the friend's like, well, we made a rule that we can't leave with any guys tonight, or any, there's, whatever the fucking stupid response is. And I just smile at them and be like, hey, what's up? I'm John. I just was talking to your friend. Blah, blah. I just moved here from Vegas. I say the same shit I told her friend. I just moved here from Vegas. I'm going to be DJing at the clubs, blah, blah. What do you do? Ha, ha, ha. And if she still gives me shit, I'll be like, ha, 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 chill out. Like, I'm really laid back. I just want to talk to your friend, right? Or you can try to isolate. Like, if the friend keeps getting involved, just be like, yo, let's just go chill over there. I want you to come meet my friends. Lead her away. And then, if the friend's giving you that much shit throughout the set, like, you want to, like, isolate or baby step her to the smoking section before you pull, because that friend's going to fucking block you. But the way you deal with cock blocks and dragaways is just acknowledging them. And usually, breaking it down from a girl's point of view, say her friend's a 9 or an 8-5, that girl's getting approached relentlessly by, what's probably 95 to 99% total chodes, because most guys have no idea what to do and have no idea what to say and are trying too hard and all this other shit. So her drag away or the lesbian comment or any of that shit, I don't really refer to them as shit tests. It's more just, we think you're probably fucking weird and creepy, just like most every other guy that has talked to us most every other fucking night we've gone out for most every other fucking year since we've been 16. That's what it is. So all you have to do is be like, hey, what's up? It's cool. I just want to talk to her. And if she gives you more shit, instead of like getting defensive or like calling her a cunt or like trying to defend yourself, you just you're just laughing it off. You're not laughing it off, and it's kind of hard to describe. You're not like laughing it off like, ho ho ho, like funny you acted that way. You're doing it like a cool way. Like everything comes to frame. Again, my frame is I can get any girl I want. When you have that frame and you think your game's at 100 out of 100, it's not going to bother you that some chick's like, oh, she can't talk to you, or oh, like, get away, we don't know you, or whatever. You just do your due diligence, introduce yourself to that friend or those friends, show that you're cool, so to speak, by the way you carry yourself and the way that you respond, and then usually they'll back off. And sometimes they won't. Sometimes she'll be like, no, fuck you, and you're like, geez, I just want to talk to her, ha ha ha. It's cool, you don't need to freak out. And she's like, no, fuck you. You're like, okay, and that's it. Even if your chick liked you, what are you gonna do, right? So sometimes you just have to deal with it. Okay, pulling in public places. Someone said I want to be proficient at pulling in my car, fucking her, then going back to the club. How? Like I said, I don't do that shit. So basically, you would just frame it. You don't really want to go into like down the paths of deception, because that's going to cause freakouts. So you don't want to be like, oh, I have drugs in my house. Like, I know a lot of guys think they're like really clever, like, oh, I have drugs at the house, and they get back and there's no drugs, and the girl freaks out. Or like, oh, we're gonna go here, and then you drive her to your house or some shit. Like, that's gonna get you in trouble. So I wouldn't do that kind of shit. Um, you know, you can make out there on the street and be like, oh, I parked over here, like let's go for a walk or some shit, and then go to the car that way or whatever. Or you basically would just move them near the car, move them near the bathroom or whatever. But I wouldn't mislead them because that's gonna cause them to freak out. What types of things are you saying to seed the poll in the first half of the night? It's basically a script. Like, that's part of the program offering. How do you escalate to sex once you pull? To isolate them to your bedroom once you get home, I'll usually say, I want to give you the tour of the house, and then start making out with them in my room. Or I'll say, come here, I want to show you something real quick, or come here, I want to have a serious discussion with you as like a joke, and then start escalating in the room, put on music, that kind of shit. And you should have been physical before you got home. So, it should be pretty much on the table by that point. You can even get creative. Like, I would put, in a couple of my apartments, I would put like 5 different kinds of liquor in my room on like a liquor shelf, and I have some shitty liquor, like 1 bottle of shitty liquor out on the counter in the kitchen. And I'll be like, do you like this? And they're like, no. They're like, oh, I have every other kind in my room. And then you go in there and turn on music and start making out. And then, once you start making out and you lay down in the bed, then it just becomes either close or LMR close, or LMR you can't beat. Someone said, if it's a 2-set, do you try to pull quickly? How do you get the girls split up early so you don't have to wait till closing time to pull? Like I said, if you have a good wing, you can just pair off in the 2-set, and his girl's either going to like him, or he's just going to block and just entertain the other going conversation. If there's plenty of times where I've broken a 2-set apart and just pulled the one girl. You just do that with isolation. And I've done it when it's like 2 sisters out, when it's like 2 roommates out, 2 best friends, and it's just them, and they'll ditch their friend behind. It's happened tons of times. All you do is say, I'm going to take your friend to the bar for a second. You get to the bar, and then you just talk about how you guys should leave. Like, but my friend, and you're like, it's cool, we're going to come back, or we'll text you the address. And then, so basically, to answer your question, to pull just one girl out of a 2-set, you just have to isolate first. What do you do for dance floor game? I don't do dance floor game. If I open on the dance floor, I immediately isolate them to the bar. It's usually too fucking loud to like get the worthwhile stuff done I need to do in the beginning, and they're distracted. So I'll make passes through the dance floor, and I'll open, and I'll immediately isolate. I'll be like, hey, what's up? Come with me to the bar to get a drink. And then, I'll ignore the friends. But if the friend's like, no, she can't leave, or she's like, I can't leave my friends, I'll be like, hey, I'm just taking your friend to get a drink real quick. We'll be right back. Back in 5 minutes. We're going right over there. So yeah, the way I run a dance floor is just isolating them immediately. It's also easier to escalate on the dance floor. It's worth noting that. Like, if you're on the dance floor and you start dancing with a chick, you can usually get makeouts easier. College game. Is that about, here, put in the question box for the college game. Is that about frat parties, or is that about, or you just mean college in general? I used to do good at frat parties just because the chicks are like pretty receptive and everybody's talking to each other. But, and this was before I knew game too. If I was in college now, I'd probably do some day game. I mean, I've even done day game in the past year at colleges, and I'm fucking 30. So, but yeah, I would do a little day game and then hit frat parties. But I would probably try to do like pulls to my room and shit. Like during the day even. Do you drink when you go out? I drank almost every single time I went out, but I actually recently just quit drinking like a month ago. I'm actually doing pretty well sober, but I think my game's a lot better when I drink. But I'm just like hitting the gym now and doing martial arts and a bunch of other balanced shit. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still like, I have either 9, there's like 9 either dates or rotation girls I have to see this week, and it was like that last week too, like maybe like 6 or 7 of them, and these are all sober. So But I always used to say like drink every time you game or every time you hang out with a girl, but now I'm realizing I don't even need to, and it was putting my life out of balance. Um, let's see, what if you live 30 minutes from the club? I kind of covered that one before. Just say I live like 15, 20 minutes away, and then just banter. Don't let the conversation fall off. How do you apply day game at a big university? Just approach the differences with day game. I'm only gonna answer about 5 more of these. With day game, there's gonna be less physicality. Instead of seeding the pole, you're gonna be seeding an insta-date. So you're gonna be finding out her logistics and ability to go on an insta-date. You can pull during the day, but it's very rare. I've done it a bunch of times, but it's very rare. You can make like your hierarchy, like go for the pull, then go for the insta-date, then go for a solid day 2 if you want. But in general, going for a pull usually during the day is a waste. And the reason for that is because she's usually on her way to do something. Like during the day, we have the club, she's like planted there for like hours. During the day, she's like on her way to class or on her way to like she's going to shop or like whatever. But plus the interactions are shorter, so and you're not like getting in physicality very much, so it's just gonna require like way more compliance for a chick to like come fuck you after like a 5 or 10 minute set during the day, or 20 minutes even. It's a lot easier to take her to an insta-date, and you could try to pull from the insta-date. Like that's another way to do it. Other dating considerations. I'm just not as sexual in general. This is more of like a boring conversation. Shorter sets, that kind of shit. So if you're doing day game at a big university, just make a rule. You're gonna approach every 7.5 plus or every 7 plus anytime you see them, and be like, oh, I live in this area. What area do you live in? We should meet up. Blah blah blah. If she's like, no, I can't, then try to answer those objections just to get the number. What's the hand of doom? I have no idea. But if you are doing the hand of God, don't do that ever again. It looks retarded to yell out to a stunner from 5 or 10 feet away, you, with an outstretched hand. Don't do that. How to get the makeout. I already mentioned. I'll pull the girl in close, say, let me see your eyes. But a lot of times it'll just be like natural, like we'll be laughing about some joke, and I'll have her in close, and you can just like feel from the vibe that she's down to kiss you. Or I'll even explicitly say like, I want to see how you kiss. Like I have no problem saying that kind of shit, and it usually goes over well. And if they're like, no, we can't, I'll be like, I'm just gonna kiss you one time. I'll be like, I hate PDA. That's not true, but I'll be like, I hate PDA. I just want to kiss you one time. I'm not gonna like make out with you like crazy, ha ha ha. And then she like tries to prove herself. Someone said they use Are You Spontaneous when they go for the makeout, and that works usually. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's, like I said, it depends on it just is the frame you're coming from. There isn't like special lines. Like I say, let me see your eyes, because it gets our faces locked on each other from like half a foot away, and then I can read her really well if she wants to kiss. But just simply saying like, I want to see how you kiss is fine too. What do you say when they ask about your age? I usually just talk. Well, actually, what I used to do, I haven't had many girls ask me that recently. I just turned 32, so like if the chick seems young, a lot of them actually prefer guys in their 30s anyways, surprisingly. Well, not surprisingly, but for those of you that don't know that, because the guys their age are really immature. But if the chick's like clearly like older, if it's like a MILF chick or like a chick that's like older than me, like when I was in my upper 20s, I would try to like lie in the direction towards her age. So say she looked like she was like 35, I'd be like, oh, I'm 34, because they don't want to date like a kid. And I used to do that in the other direction too. Like if the chick was like, looked like she was like 19 or 20 or 21, I would say I was like 24, 25, 26 when I was like 28 or 29. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like some girls have a hard rule, they won't date guys over 30. Some older chicks won't date guys that are too young. But in general, if they ask, if they're asking in a leading way, like an older chick is asking, and pretty clear that she doesn't want you to be young, then don't say you're young. If it's, because I've seen lots of guys blow shit like that. Or if it's a younger chick that seems to be concerned about that you might be too old, then go the other direction. But in general, you can just say what you really are or what you think they want to hear, and then just calibrate from there. How to avoid the creepy pickup guy reputation at college if you're constantly day gaming there. I don't think that's really avoidable. You're gonna get that reputation. That's why it's good to have like solid game, because you're just gonna burn through. You're gonna get that reputation like at the bars and stuff too. Like, you know, that was happening in Miami. Like just like the local pickup group was just like destroying like Lincoln Road and the different campuses and shit. It's just girls like were just like on alert. So I don't know. You can't really avoid that kind of shit. Or in Toronto with like the Eaton Center, there was like people tweeting like pickup artists are taking over the mall. Is your game boring like Todd? No, fuck no. My game's like really exciting actually. I was Todd's assistant. His shit, yeah, I'm not gonna bash Todd, but his sets are way too long. He bounces them way too many times to diners and all this weird shit. I don't think you need to do that. I'm usually like, my personality is I'll make like crazy jokes and shit. Like I'm usually being like over the top sexual, and I'm saying ridiculous shit and just owning all of it. So like my like, and this just comes from my personality, is I'm just like being a fucking jackass retard and then just owning it. And if they get like offended, I'll just calibrate back and say I was kidding. And sometimes it blows the sets out because I try not to say like really outrageous stuff. Like if a chick has like a little bit mannish features and I ask her if she's like a tranny and stuff, I've like blown out like good sets like that. You know, I think it was like funny. But in general, I'll usually just be like really funny and really over the top. Do you ever do flashy shit for fun, like some of the RSD stuff? I mean, I have for shits and giggles with my friends, but in general, it's not a solid game. Which instructor has the best game? I'm not going to answer that, but it's not Tyler. Tyler hadn't even broken 100 a couple years ago. Just pathetic. If you're going from open to logistical questions to seeding and trying to seed how these girls not look at you like I don't know you. I don't know. That's a good question because it's a short time frame. I'm basically just fucking. I'm usually weaving in, like the example you saw, it was almost all logistics and pull seating, but I'm usually like weaving that shit in with just dynamic bantering and vibing. So I'll be commenting about their outfit. I'll be commenting about what they do for work, that kind of shit. So like, but I do without fail, unless I forget to, talk about the pull and logistics in the first minute. I think the DJ thing is good. I'll be like, hey, I'm John. What's up? I wanted to meet you. What's your name? She's like, blah, blah. And I'll be like, oh, I'm a DJ from Vegas. I just moved here. I'm going to be DJing out here. I think that like imports a whole shitload of value and social proof immediately. That's kind of taken from like old school mystery type stuff. Like that would be like a classical like big DHV. I'm not like, oh, did you know I'm a DJ? It's like, I'm telling you this because this is why I just moved here and I'm looking to meet new people or whatever. But then she's like, oh, he must know a lot of people and have a cool life and his life's probably more fun than mine and all this shit. And then I just go into logistics and pull seating. And the reason I go into it so quick is and the reason I'm physical so quick, she might be like, oh, my boyfriends are over there. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm flying home at 5 in the morning. Okay, have a good night. Like, rather than like talking to her for half hour, an hour, and then wasting your time. Okay. All right, yeah, last one. So someone said, like you fill in the gap with comfort. Yeah, I think comfort's just like a byproduct of doing all this other shit at a higher level. You know, some of my sets are long. Like I'll have hour-long sets sometimes. I'll be like making out with them a bunch, and you know, I'm usually just continuing to return to the pull thread and seeing if she's ready to go yet. Because a lot of times it's not just answering objections. Sometimes you need to build up more compliance, which is just done through time passing while you vibe. So I try to pull pretty quickly. If she's not ready yet, I continue to answer the objections, and I'm always assessing in real time if the chick is ready to go at any point. And I'm also assessing in real time, like what is the probability that I think I'll be able to get her out of here. So if it seems like I'm gonna have to sink my whole night into the set for like a maybe, I'll usually just get the phone number and try to day two it. If it seems like the odds are low, I'll usually leave. So like and you're getting new information like every second of the interaction. So the reason why it's called efficient pickup is you're trying to only spend time with the hot chicks they're gonna pull, and then getting out as soon as you know logistics can't be beaten. Okay, so that's pretty much everything. Thank you guys for joining. Wait, one more. Did the girls ever get suspicious of the cameraman? Oh, I'll answer that real quick. I know RSD, like when I would teach RSD programs, the cameraman would actually have like a camera in a bag and shit, and they would get caught all the time. And the reason why, or not the reason why, well, actually the reason why they cause it's a fucking camera outside of their shit. We had a camera embedded in a vest, and the lens was going through a buttonhole. So like we took the button out, and the camera's sitting in the vest pocket, and then it just looks like a button of a vest. So we actually only got caught one time out of like 100 nights out or something like that. And it was just because we had an infrared night vision thing. The infrared night vision it looked like an LED light. It was only visible to like a computer, like the wavelength wasn't visible to a human eye, but it looked like a fucking like rave light or something. And we used to have that covered with a felt flap. And the one night we didn't go out with the felt flap, a bouncer asked to see what it was, and then like was feeling around. We just had to leave the venue. But yeah, we didn't get caught. In terms of our product, yeah, we're releasing our product in. Well, it's been out, but we were redoing the whole thing. We're relaunching it in like 6 weeks, like right after Christmas, I think. Or I don't know actually. I don't know. It might be longer, but we're relaunching, and we redid a lot of it. So it's basically our infield footage. It shows tons of pulls, insta dates. Like basically you'll get every type of experience in game. It's like, here's how you stop a moving set. Here's how you approach a seated set. Here's how you deal with cock blocks. Here's how you deal with a girl that's giving you tons of shit. Here's how you deal with a mixed set. Here's how you AMOG. Here's what you do when an AMOG comes in. Blah, 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 on and on. So there's like examples, all breakdowns, start to finish. Blah, blah, blah. We did have a YouTube channel. We shut down our YouTube channel on our site recently because when we first started our company a few years ago, we put a couple guys on our site that were advanced, that were going to be teaching programs for us, and they never actually taught programs for us, but they actually got into some legal trouble. So we took our site down for the time being because those guys were fucking retarded, and they weren't affiliated with us at all, but we're just taking that down for the time being.